Let's play around with some file commands. We did a little bit before. Just double check where I am right now. I am in my home directory, and I have a few things in there, just directories at the moment, no files. And I'm going to move into CD, change directory, my CS140 directory. So now it shows here that I'm in my CS140 directory. I can double check with pwd. And now you can see if I list the files in that directory, I have a few to play with. And I want to continue adding to my chapter 3 script recording. So I'm going to run script on that. I'm going to use the -A to append to it so I don't erase what's there with what I'm about to do. And I'm going to use that file again. All right, so we're in there now. Let's see, check out some stuff like remember ls -l, and I have a similar command in my bash rc file. If I just do ll, it'll give me a similar display with just a little bit more information about the current directory and the one I'm in. And we can see I've got this new file that is empty, 0, nothing in it. And every once in a while, you'll be asked to run a command, and sometimes that command won't run correctly. For example, if I tried to cat a file, which is to view it, and I tried to run a file called numbers.txt, I'm going to get cat numbers, no such file or directory. Doesn't exist. There was a file called numbers referenced in my book, so if I wanted to do some of the commands they had, then I would have to make my own copy of that file. So I'm going to use nano to do that. So I'm going to do a nano numbers.txt, and nano will either edit an existing file, or if you give it a file name that doesn't exist, it will create that file name for you after you save it. So I'm going to do a nano numbers.txt, and then I'm going to put some things in there like the number 42 and the hexadecimal number 2A, and 52, and the binary set of digits 0010 space 1010. And let's put an asterisk in there for fun. And then when I'm done, Control S to save, Control X to exit nano. And so now if I do a cat on numbers, I'm going to hit up arrow twice to get that command back instead of retyping it. Enter. There's stuff in there. Cool. Another file that was mentioned was random. So if I do a ls, like list, any file that starts with RAND, hit tab, beep, 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 nothing happens. And if I tried to type it manually, because maybe I think my tab isn't working correctly, I'm going to get a no such file or directory cannot access, right? So we're going to make it with nano. So sometimes I'll modify a command I ran by hitting up arrow to get the command and then deleting parts to it and adding some parts to it. And we're going to put the number 42 in there, and we're going to put the book Flatland in there. And how about Schrodinger's cat? Another great story. And binary number. And that'll be good. So Control S to save. If you accidentally try to exit in nano, exit will say, hey, don't you want to save it? So the buffer is the memory. So in memory, it's recorded everything I've done. It says, hey, do you want to save the buffer? And I would hit Y for yes. And then it says, do you want to put it in the file you started called random.txt, random.txt? And I would hit enter to confirm that. And now if I do an ls on random, it'll say, yeah, you get a file called random. And if I do a cat on that, it'll show me what's inside. Cool. So I now have those two files I can play around with. So some other commands besides cat, an older command in Linux was PR for print, which prints stuff to the screen. So if I do a PR on numbers, it will show me what's in numbers. Interesting, that didn't work. Why not? Apparently I haven't used PR in a while. Let's try the book's recommendation, which is PR, and then L for line, number of lines, and let's do 6 lines for numbers.txt. Maybe that needed to be specific about that. Well, yes, it did. Okay, so there's my file there. If I did -L with a 2, oh, that's the line length. Interesting. Didn't do anything. Fascinating. Okay, apparently I don't know a lot about PR. I should read the man page soon, shouldn't I? Do that later. You can print more than 2 files, so PR at the same time. And let's see, I would do a merge -M for that, and then list the file, numbers, and then list the file random. See if that one works. Nope, what did I miss? I need something about the lines. So then ML, and let's go with a 15 like before. And there they are. Oh, and then there's a header at the top. Say it's printing page 1 of this stuff on that particular date. If we want to get rid of the headers, we would add a T. So MLT. Ooh, didn't like that. Apparently the order I entered those incorrectly. So how about L probably has to be last since I gave it the -T command. So MTL, let's try that one. There we go. And sometimes for certain commands, you want to list the options separately. Like you might want to do an MT and then a -L for the 15 lines. And just depends on the command. And every once in a while, I don't get those options correct, and I got to go to the man page or look up online how to use the command to do a certain thing. So if you've used the command before, then the man page is a good quick reference to go look at some of the options. And every once in a while, a man page will also have some use cases near the end. This one does not. So it looks like I could go get more documentation at gnu.org software core utils PR. And you're going to find that as you're playing with Linux, you're going to look a lot of stuff up as you're learning. Let's see. Other readers for files are less, which I use more than anything else. I use that more than I use cat. I almost never use PR for print. So if I do less numbers, less is a pager. So it takes over the screen and allows you to scroll through the file. And you can scroll through the file with arrows on the keypad. Sometimes you can use the scroll wheel on your mouse, or use scrolling on your touchpad, or you can use the space bar to go through one page at a time. All right, so like if I did, let's do a LESS on my bash history. So that would be dot, start typing bash. Oh, that's in my home directory, so I gotta go // .ba for bash stuff, and I can see I could do a bash history, bash logout, bash rc. So I'm going to do a bash _history, and here I can page through commands that I've typed. So these are commands I typed quite some time ago, I believe, a month or two. And so whenever you run stuff in your terminal, it's recorded in your bash history if you exit your terminal correctly. If you don't, then it will not record them. So what do I mean by exit correctly? If I leave my terminal open and then I just go and shut down the computer, or it shuts down accidentally, I will lose my bash history for that particular session. So you should get into the habit when you're done playing with bash, exit. So for example, let's suppose I'm done with script now, I would exit. And then if I wanted everything I've done in the terminal to be recorded in my bash history, I would also exit this shell. And if I don't do that, it will not end up in my bash history usually. All right, let's get my terminal back. And I'm just using the regular X term here. Let's blow that up so you can see it better. One more time. All right, so I'm going to go back into my CS directory, and I'm going to restart script, appending to the chapter 3 file I was working on. And as you get more chapters in there, make sure you pick the right one to append to later. All right, we're back in there, adding to it. More is another reader, so I could do more on some file, like more, go to my home directory and look at my bash RC file, which has a whole bunch of information about how bash should run for the user Gary. And quit. Q to quit that. I've demonstrated less before. Sometimes I'll go in there, like maybe I ran a command before and I don't quite remember how to run it. So I might do something like less and go to my home directory, go to my bash history. And then in there, I'll search for a command. Like maybe I ran a command called dd. So I'll do /dd and I can see what I did to run dd here. We can see I did a dd on the Rocky workstation. And the first time I ran it, I did it without sudo, which is super user do, and it wouldn't run. So then I had to run it again with sudo. Okay, so often I'm going to go say, oh, yeah, that's the command I want. And instead of retyping it, I'll go in and copy it. Copy in the command line, you have to use Control-Shift-C to copy. If you do Control-C, it'll cancel your current operation, which isn't what you want. So if you want to do a copy and paste on that, it would be Control-Shift-C to copy, and then I want to quit less, Q, and then Control-Shift-V to paste it in there. And then I could run it if I wanted to. I do not want to run that command right now, so I'm going to delete it, backspace it. Okay, so again, you got to be careful about that. grep, a lot of times in a file, again, I search that file with less. You can use grep to search a file. So I could do something like, let's do cat on that bash history file. So ~/.bash history. And another way I could search my history is using the pipe, which is the vertical bar, and that sends the output of this command to another command. So I want to send it to a command called grep, which searches files for things, and I want to search for any line that has a dd in it. So enter, and it says there were 2 lines that had dd. So then I can also grab things that way too. So grep is a cool tool for searching through files, and we'll play with grep some more later. Another good one is sometimes I just want to look at the beginning of a file, and there's a command called head for that. So if I do head, and let's pick a different file to search, how about my current chapter 3 file? So it will show me the beginning of that file. And again, that file was my recording of what I was doing on the command line there. And sometimes you can look at the end of a file. So tail is for the end of a file. And I'm going to do tail on a different file. I'm going to go back and do my bash history. So tail in my home directory, look for a file called bash. What am I missing there? Oh, the dot bash underscore history. And what tail will do, it'll look at the end of the file. So it'll just show me the last, how many lines here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I want to do more lines, then there's a flag or an option for that. So I think it's N. Let's look it up. Yes. So if I did a tail -N20 on my .bash history, so ~/ to get to my home directory, just look in it, .bash underscore history. Now it'll show me the last 20 lines in that file. And another fun feature is what's called follow. And so that's a -F, and what that does is it will live update the end of that, the last several lines, last 10 lines in that file if you do just -F on that. And sometimes I'll do that, like if I'm running a web server and some weird shit's happening, I might do a -F on an error log on a web server to try and follow the errors live as they're happening. Okay, I think that's probably enough for right now for playing with files. So mostly we were looking at reading files. We did a little file manipulation with nano, and that's it for now. I'll see you soon. Good luck playing with Linux. Have fun.